Am I the asshole here for telling my mum that I didn't want to know her after she walked out 14 years ago? The title pretty much tells the outline of the story. I'm a 16-year-old female and I'm living with my dad, who has 100% custody of me. He's had custody since I was 2. My parents had me when they were quite young. My dad was 18 and my quote-unquote mum was 20. And quote-unquote mum couldn't cope with how my existence inconvenienced her education and social life. She wanted to enjoy university, and my existence got in the way of all of that. Therefore, she upped sticks and left my dad to raise me by myself. And my dad is the complete opposite, and is more worth in one of his pinky fingers than her entire existence. He's been both the mother and the father in my life. He has showered me with the love and affection that I needed. He's been strict with me when needed and has guided me to be the person that I am today. And he's never missed a day or an opportunity of letting me know how much he loves me. He is my hero, and I doubt that I will ever love anyone as much as I do my dad. I am unashamed to admit that I'm a daddy's girl. Our life has been very stable, and he's done an amazing job of raising me throughout my childhood and into my teenage years. But now the egg donor, I won't apologize for calling her that, because just the thought of calling her mum turns my stomach, is trying to rock the boat. She's contacted me, asking if we could meet up because she wants to reconnect with me. She gave a sob story about how she spent years regretting her decision of not being in my life, and how she's now at a point in her life, mentally and financially, where she wants to give me what I am owed from her. She also has 2 children, 7 and 5, and she's hopeful that I can develop a relationship with my siblings. This is where I feel like I might be an asshole, because in an outburst of sudden anger at suddenly being contacted, I told her to F off, and that nothing she says could convince me to have anything to do with someone who I only consider to be an egg donor and an incubator in my life. I thought that I gave up on my anger and resentment towards her a long time ago, but it felt like the dam broke as I let out all of that anger and resentment that built up all those years ago, as I unleashed all of my pent-up feelings towards her. Because the anger that I felt wasn't only for myself and how she abandoned me, I also felt anger for the hurt, pain, and struggles that she caused for my dad. And here she is, trying to reopen those old wounds that both myself and my dad have suffered at her selfish hands. I told her all of that, and how I consider myself to be the child of one parent, as the other one has been dead for most of my life. I'm not ashamed to admit that I took some joy in telling her how much of an amazing father and man that my dad is, and that both myself and my dad had a lucky escape getting away from someone who is as narcissistic and toxic as she is. And the only point where I remained somewhat civil was when telling her how I don't want anything to do with her children, because despite my anger and resentment towards her, those children are blameless and innocent. And if she tries to use them as an emotional weapon against me, or selfishly drags them into all of this, then that would only make me angrier than I already am. I blocked her from all of my socials, though I know that this won't be over anytime soon, and my dad is preparing to lawyer up if she does try and drag this to the courts. But for now, I'm going to try and refocus on my GCSE exams, and I'm looking forward to the upcoming trip away with my dad to celebrate the end of my exams. In the comments, Civil Clue says, "Not the arsehole. Your egg donor wants a free babysitter." That was my first thought, but the threat of a lump sum payment of all the back child support she owes should scare her off. OP replies, "It might sound silly, but I wouldn't want the back payment on the child support that she owes. I know that it'll probably sound like mental gymnastics, but I feel that accepting her money would give her a reason to believe that she would now have a say in my life." Not the arsehole. She waited 14 years to contact you, while she's had other kids for what, 7 years? Nah, she could have reached out at any point. The fact that she waited until you're old enough to babysit is suspicious as hell. You owe her nothing. OP replies, "She tried reaching out last year by contacting my dad. He spoke to me at the time about it, asked what I wanted to do, and he respected my decision of not wanting anything to do with her. He gave my response to her, but she's now bypassed him and contacted me directly." Not the arsehole. She waited 14 years to talk to you, never sent you a card on your birthday or anything. It was her choice to leave. She can deal with the consequences. She's looking for a second mother and babysitter for her kids 100%. All of those points aside, are you the asshole here for telling your mum you didn't want to know her after she walked out? Absolutely not. And in everything that you said to her, you were not the asshole for that, because everything you said is correct, everything is valid. She didn't even take any slow steps to form this relationship with you. There was never any apologies from her. There was never any acknowledgement of anything she did wrong. If she was truly genuine about her approach in wanting to reconnect with you, there would be very small steps. There would be so much more than how she reached out to you directly, especially after knowing how your dad worded the rejection. Any normal person would approach that earnestly and honestly in a much different way than she did. Because of that, it tells me that she doesn't care. She doesn't want to care about the effect that she had on OP's life and on OP's father's life, and that, yeah, she probably just wants free babysitting. There's no way in hell you should reconnect with someone like that. And if you don't want the child support money, that's fair enough. Although, in this economy, it might be useful. But that's just my 2 cents. And now, onto the update. OP starts with some backstory and then kind of gets into the update here. Eventually, though, she respected the fact that I needed to concentrate on my GCSEs, and she asked if we could meet up after I was done. I then spent a while trying to figure out what I should do. I spoke to my dad about it, and he gave me his full support on whatever my decision would be. In the end, I did agree to meet up with my mum in a public space, and we met up yesterday at a coffee shop. My dad dropped me off, and I asked him to stay close by to pick me up when I was done, so he went and did a bit of shopping for our upcoming trip away together. I understand this is getting to be a quite long read now, so I'll try and keep it as simple as possible. But basically, my mum started giving me an emotional story of how she spent the last 10+ years regretting not being in my life. She told me that she was young when she walked out and was really unsure of what she wanted in life. I responded that I could understand that she was young and becoming a mum at her age must have been incredibly difficult, but I pointed out that my dad was also young. Younger than her, in fact, but he stepped up and became a single parent to the detriment of his own future dreams and relationships. So whilst I could sympathize with her, I still couldn't accept it as being a good enough reason. I could see that those words really stung her, and whilst I knew that she was being genuine, I still couldn't forgive her for that. And I did tell her that. She then informed me that her children, my half-siblings, would really like to meet their older sister, and she showed me their photos and was telling me stories about their life. This honestly felt like a stab to the heart, because a mum talking about her children, sharing photos of them, etc., is what I spent my life wanting. In the end, I had to ask her to stop talking about her children because hearing these stories was bringing up the pain of the mum that I always wanted but never had. I also told her that no matter how much she tries, I wouldn't ever see her children as being my siblings. We didn't grow up together and we don't know each other. They are nothing but strangers to me and are no different to the children that I see walking past me in the street. My emotions did slightly get the better of me here, and my mum did see my agitation growing. I won't bore you with everything that was said, but by the time that we were done with our conversation and were getting ready to leave, my mum got the wrong assumption thinking that this wouldn't be the last time that we'd meet up, because she thanked me for giving this opportunity to spend time with her eldest daughter and how she hopes that we can continue to heal our relationship. I had to stop her there, and this is now where I'm second-guessing myself on whether I was too harsh. Because I told her that under false illusion does this mean that we will one day have a mother-daughter relationship. I only gave her this time with me so that we could both say what we needed to be said for the closure that will allow us to move on from each other. I don't right now, and I never will consider her as my mum. Yes, she is the woman who gave birth to me, and I will always be thankful to her for how she carried me for 9 months and gave birth to me. However, that doesn't mean that I will ever see her as my mum. She began to get rather emotional at this point, but I just had to ignore her so that I could finish what I wanted to say when I told her that I consider myself as only having one parent, my dad. And before we went our ways, whilst she was still trying to get her emotions under check, whilst begging me to reconsider giving her a second chance, I felt that I had to be brutally honest when I requested that she doesn't contact me or my dad again, and that if I ever wanted to speak to her again, that I would be the one to reach out to her. I'm not heartless. The pain was honestly eating away at me as I watched my mum getting more and more emotional, and I was struggling to keep my own emotions under control. Because I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. I knew that I had to make my message crystal clear to her that I don't want anything to do with her. Not now or any time in the future. It was only when I met up with my dad and got into the car that I finally broke down and cried hysterically. My dad has given me his full support. He's reassured me that he'll always respect my decision. Whether I want my mum in my life, whether I want to go low contact or completely remove her from my life, he will always support me, and I really appreciate his support. His support has given me reassurances that I've done the right thing. However, whilst speaking to my best friends, they've been conflicted on the matter. They feel that I've been too harsh on my mum, and that I should have been more responsive towards repairing a relationship with her. They believe that I should try and give her a second chance, otherwise one day I might regret it. I asked them to change the subject because I didn't want to talk about her anymore. But it did leave me wondering whether I was too harsh on my mum when she was trying to give me a genuine apology for all of her wrongdoings, because she has accepted full responsibility for what she did, and that there is nothing that could excuse what she did 14 years ago. That makes me feel like my friends were right, and I was an asshole to my mum when we met up, but I'm just confused right now. My dad has offered me the chance of seeing a therapist for everything that I've been through, but I'm reluctant. I am foolishly hoping that once I've been on this holiday with my dad, and when we return home, these events with my mum will be in the distant past. Oh, and to finish off, in my last post, I had a number of comments telling me that my dad should chase my mum for child support. I did discuss this with my dad, but it's not something that he wants to do. He says that we're fine financially, and he doesn't want to deal with the stress of going through the legal system, which can be slow, and end up in a prolonged legal battle with her. He also got concerns that this would maybe give my mum more incentive to try and forcibly be more involved in my life, because she's now invested money into me, and that would give her a legal right to having some form of access to me. In the comments, Glumcraft says, "Not the arsehole." She said she regretted the last 10 plus not being in your life, but didn't even contact you, even once up until now? She made her bed when she abandoned you, now let her sleep on it. Actions have consequences. OP replies, "She's made a few attempts the last few years, but I always made it clear each time that I didn't want to have contact with her. I only agreed to meet up with her yesterday with the intention of telling her that I don't want her in my life, regardless of what she had to say. But seeing her getting as emotional as she got did hit me in a way that I didn't expect." Sleeper Awakened says, "Not the arsehole, but take your dad up on that offer. It seems that this will keep festering at your core. Talking about it may help. I was abandoned by my mother at age 5, raised by my dad, but it wasn't so great with just my dad and a future stepfamily. I highly recommend therapy. It seems like you're coping great, but there are always scars left. I wish I had gone to therapy when I was younger, but it wasn't as much a thing back then. Always remember that you were never, ever the factor in her leaving. Some people just don't want to be parents, even though they spawned a kid." Absolutely. It's not OP's fault, and perhaps therapy can help them, process this. I'm on OP's side. I don't understand why the friends think that this is a relationship that should be given a second chance. To me, it sounds like those parents have never dealt with neglect as strong as what OP is going through, and they don't have the same perspective of the pain that OP is going through. Because if they had experienced that before, if they had felt what OP is feeling, I highly doubt they would be pushing for OP to reconcile. I'm not going to say that what they're doing is malicious, I just say that it's incredibly ignorant, but that ignorance, if continued to be pushed, will turn into maliciousness and will hurt OP. I think those friends need to go touch some grass and learn about the real world and how these things affect real people in the real world and not just live in their own little bubble. Again, I back OP 100%. I don't think OP should feel like an asshole for enforcing these very much reasonable boundaries. I respect OP for that. I hope they go on a journey of healing and acceptance of where they're at in their life right now, and they're able to not have this eat away at their core. Thank you for sharing the story with us, OP. Good luck and all the best. Now, this next story has a content warning of violence and death. I know I've made mistakes with content warnings in the past, so I will make it abundantly clear. This story deals with the death of a child. Skip ahead to the next story if you don't want to listen to that. Posted by user account throwaway2929, titled, "I'm eloping on Friday because my family wants us to delay the wedding until my brother gets released from prison. We don't want to wait, so we are just going to the courthouse by ourselves. Ever since I got engaged a month ago, my parents, my brother, and some of my other family have been pressuring us to wait to get married until my other brother is released from prison. My, male 29, fiancé, female 29, and I plan to have the wedding in November. My brother will be in prison for at least another 5 years. There is no guarantee that he will be released then. That's just the earliest he could be released. My brother went to prison over my nephew's death. My brother and his wife were convicted of manslaughter because the law required everyone on the boat to wear a life jacket, and my nephew wasn't wearing one. His death destroyed my entire family. I don't want to wait another 5 years, and neither does my fiancé. We've been together for 3 years, and we are ready now. I know my brother going to prison was hard on everyone, including me. I've missed him being around for so many years. I thought if I talked to my brother, he would be more understanding and tell everyone to stop pressuring us, but instead, he got mad at me for wanting to get married while he was in prison. After that, my fiancé and I decided that we're just going to go to the courthouse on Friday by ourselves. No one in her family will care if we elope, and honestly, we are done with the pressure. We aren't going to tell anyone until afterwards. Neither of us care about having a big wedding, and I am so tired of everyone telling us to wait until my brother gets out. I don't care if anyone is angry with us. I honestly don't." In the comments, ChipChop666 says, "Your family is really entitled. The world isn't waiting for your brother to get out of a prison. Your entire family is insane for thinking you had to wait. Obviously, brother didn't ask for permission to do his crimes, so him getting upset that you're living your life is ridiculous. Why aren't you delaying your wedding? Well, because my brother committed manslaughter against his kid. What a truly cheerful tone to set for the wedding planning. I thought you were going to say that he'll be out in a number of months, not years. Your family is so selfish. My husband and I got married early 2021 in our living room with the Justice of the Peace over Zoom. Just 3 of us, and it was very special. Yeah, if they were planning for November and he was getting out in December, that would be shitty. But 5 effing years? Just to get married? Their carelessness with their son put their life on pause, and I'm terribly sorry for the loss your family suffered both in losing him and essentially your brother as well. But your life is not anybody's to live except your own. If you and your beloved want to marry, you guys go and you get married. If a ceremony is what they want and it matters that much to them, maybe they'll be happy to celebrate together once your brother is out. But you guys are not obligated to wait for anybody if you are both in it and ready for it. Congratulations and best wishes." Yeah, no, I don't think you should put your life on pause for 5 years. Because your family wants him to be out of prison first. It's your wedding, it's your wedding day, no one can tell you what to do with it, no one gets to command that day, you are completely in charge of it. It's not your fault that that happened, and it's not fair for them to demand that you put your life on pause as well, just because everyone else's lives are on pause. I don't blame you for eloping. I think if you just get it over and done with, you don't have the nuisance of guilt trips, drama, and gossip that would happen at a big wedding day. I think you save yourself a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of emotional just bullshit that you would have to deal with otherwise. If you are both happy with eloping, absolutely go ahead. That is the smart and correct thing to do. And now, onto the update. I just want to say how much I appreciate the supportive comments in my first post. My wife and I did go to the courthouse on Friday, just the two of us. We didn't tell a single person beforehand. We spent Friday and yesterday at home together. Today, before my wife and I both went to work, we called her parents and her sisters to tell them, and then we called my parents. After that, we emailed or messaged some other family and friends. Everyone in her family understood why we eloped. My family not so much, but I don't care after the way they acted. My brother and his wife have been in prison for several years already, and the earliest they could be released is the year 2030. They are in prison for manslaughter because of my nephew's death. The law requires everyone on the boat to wear a life jacket. No one on board, including my toddler nephew, was wearing one. My brother and my sister-in-law were both convicted of manslaughter after my nephew died. My wife and I didn't want to wait 5 years to get married, and also prison rules wouldn't allow for my brother to watch a live stream or see a video later on. We didn't want to have a vow renewal or reception after my brother gets out. We don't see a need to have another ceremony or to delay our reception. We have been clear to everyone that we know that we don't want another ceremony or to have a reception or party now or later. We don't think there's anything wrong with the focus being on the couple on their wedding day and not one of the guests. I absolutely hate what my brother did, and I was angry at him for a long time. My nephew was a toddler, and I think about him all the time and what he would be like now. I also miss my brother being around, and this tragedy and my brother going to jail has been difficult for everyone in the family, including me. It doesn't mean I can't be angry at my brother for how he acted about my wedding, but outside of that, I still do miss my brother. I don't regret eloping though. Friday was the best day, and I love my wife. We have no regrets about our courthouse wedding. In the comments, Avid Learnerbot says, "I'm truly sorry about your family's situation, and I admire your decision to prioritize your happiness. It's understandable that you didn't want to wait, and it's great that you found a way to make it work for both of you." Exactly. Sometimes you just have to put yourself first. Really happy you made it all work out in the end. Wishing you the best married life. OP says, "Thank you. I thought I would feel guilty about eloping and not telling my family about it, but I don't. My wife and I are happy and have no guilt about any of it. Congrats on your nuptials. Like I said in your first post, your life doesn't revolve around the dumb fuckery of your brother and family, especially when it's clear that he may not even get out in 5 years anyway due to being an unrepentant fuck-up, and the rest of that side of the family is no better either as his enablers. Do have brunch, lunch, or dinner at a restaurant with your wife's family, or at least her parents, to celebrate your marriage." OP replies, "Thank you. Like I said in my first post, we've been clear with everyone that we don't want any kind of reception or gathering. My wife's family, unlike mine, is respecting our wishes on that and have only been supportive." And good on you guys. Again, I think you did the right thing. I'm glad that you went through with it all, and I'm glad that her family has been supportive of you. At this point, it doesn't matter what your family thinks. Who cares what opinion they have on this matter? If they are enabling that behavior, they are just as bad. If they can't be supportive of you, if they can't be happy for you, if they can't understand why you do the things that you do, then that's a them problem. And that is not something that you should question in yourself and be like, maybe they have a point. Because I personally don't think they have any point. I think if they guilt trip you for this and try to make you feel bad about having a wedding on your terms, you should just ignore them. Thank you for the update, thank you for the story, and good luck, OP. Our next post is by user ThrowRA bunch of numbers, and it's titled, "My 32 female, husband 36 male, became a robot, and I don't know how to help him." The title sounds insane, but here I go. We've been married for 6 years and have 2 kids, and I'm pregnant with a third. My husband works 9 to 5, comes home, does his chores, plays with our 2 kids, talks to me for a little bit, and then goes to sleep. But he doesn't seem to enjoy doing any of it. Like this whole thing is one big chore. He used to be this goofy guy who smiled and told jokes all the time, but I haven't seen the man smile in months. It's not like he's neglecting his duties as a husband and father, but He acts like it's just that. Duties. Like hanging with the kids and me is a second job. I'm grateful for all he's doing, and he makes all of our lives so much easier, but it's like he's constantly on the clock, and I think he might be depressed. I tried asking him if he was okay, and he tells me he's doing fantastic, but I know he's not. That's the line that he uses at work when customers try to make small talk and ask how he's doing. He doesn't take any time for himself. He doesn't take any breaks. He stopped playing games and stopped watching TV. He just does what I feel he thinks needs to be done, and I don't know how to help him out. Our sex life has become one-sided. We do it frequently, but only because I initiate frequently. Even if he doesn't seem in the mood, he'll do it, like it's his responsibility to make me happy. It feels like he isn't there in the moment, like his mind is wandering the whole time that we're intimate, and that, to me, feels worse than getting rejected. I don't know what's going on, and I don't know how to help because he won't let me in. To anybody else, he seems fine, but I know something is wrong, and I don't know how to fix this. I miss my husband, the guy who complained and told jokes, not this robotic shell that looks like him. In the comments, your husband sounds burnt out. He sounds completely exhausted, with nothing but more exhaustion to look forward to. He's probably tired of the redundancy and depressed. He probably needs a long vacation from responsibilities and a new career. Edit. I forgot to mention that your husband is probably telling you that everything is fine because he doesn't want you to feel guilty or leave you with the responsibilities of everything on your own. Yeah, he's burnt out for sure. Life is so damn tough on all of us, we really all need to be so gentle with each other. Man in Mirror says, sounds very familiar. I am 50 male, and I've been where he is. I was not interested in hearing that I might have depression either. It didn't sound right. I didn't think that was what depression feels like. Doing some research at the time, I found some stuff that made me get more open to getting help. The first is that it's not giving in, it's not about being weak. It's just a problem that he needs help fixing. Fixing it is not a bad thing. Leaving it broken is a bad thing. My second thought for you is that often men have a hard time talking about feelings because we don't know what they are, how to describe them, how to recognize them. Ask him if he's depressed. He says no because he doesn't know if that feeling is depression, boredom, work stress, a memory of a song he hates. He has no idea. It's a cliche, but here's the new part. We can recognize symptoms. Ask him about any strange symptoms he has. Can't sleep? Forget stuff? Decides not to do things that seem like stuff he would enjoy? Naps? Or naps where he can't fall asleep? Late or early bedtime? Missed work? Lack of interest in sex? Boner trouble? Tummy issues? Get him talking about his symptoms, and you might recognize that some of them are emotions or feelings. Gently point that out when it happens, and look for symptoms of depression, not feelings. The third thing I learned, it's common for men to resist a diagnosis of depression. All that stuff we grow up with gets in the way. What I had was adaptation disorder with depressed mood. That's when you can't adapt to something, it stresses you out, and you get symptoms like depression. You can treat it with meds, even if you can't identify or fix the problem. For me, it took some pretty massive life change. Still on meds though, because the stress just doesn't end in 2020. Back up to the post, there's an edit. Alright, wow, I didn't expect this to blow up. I want to thank you all for your advice. I really appreciate it. It's clear to me now that my husband is overworked and burnt out. He comes home from work in a couple of hours, and I'm going to sit down and talk to him. I'm going to tell him how I feel, and I hope that together we can find a solution that turns him back into the man that he once was. I'm sorry if I wasn't able to respond to everyone, but I want you all to know that I read every comment and response. I'll post an update soon about how it goes. Bye. So yeah, obviously with that comment, this was posted in 2020 during the midst of coronavirus. If he was already depressed before, you can imagine that he was doubly depressed with everything going on, everything still being fresh and new and uncertain. I can see why he'd just go numb, get into a routine and just not be able to associate anymore. It sounds very much like he's just disassociating from reality, but doing his best to keep a routine going. That's obviously not healthy. That's not a good way to live your life. You're going to hit a wall eventually, and it's not going to be good when you do hit that wall. Best to get some help. Best to want to get some help before you do anything drastic. You know, we don't know where this ends. We know the way this could end. We don't want it to end there. So wanting to get help would be amazing to avoid that. And now, onto the update. Hey everybody, here's the update. I wrote this a couple of days ago, but I couldn't post it because it was too soon. My husband came home at around 6 o'clock, and after he had something to eat, I took him to the bedroom to talk. I sat him down on the bed, and I told him I was worried about him. I didn't know exactly how to phrase my worries, so I just showed him my original post. When he finished reading the post, he started crying. Like, full-on crying. In all the years that I've known this man, I'd never seen a tear roll down his eyes. I held him for a few minutes until he could recompose himself, and he told me everything. He told me that the world was in a shitty place right now, and that we're bringing a child into a stressful time. He said when I became pregnant, he felt he had to step up. He needed to take care of things because it was his responsibility. He said that the weight of carrying the family was so much harder than he anticipated, so he thought if he doubled down, he could get through it. But the more he tried, the darker the tunnel got, and eventually he couldn't see an end. He said that he feels like he's constantly drowning, and the only breath of fresh air is on the car ride between home and work. He said that sometimes the stress is so much that he throws up, but doesn't tell anyone, and instead keeps on going with his day. He then pulled out a packet of gum from his pocket and said, "This was for when it happens." I asked him why he couldn't tell me any of this, and he said he didn't want to burden me with the truth. He said that he thought that if he told me everything, that I would stop seeing him as a protector and provider, and that I would inevitably stop loving him. Hearing him say that brought tears to my eyes, because I didn't know where he got the notion that I would feel that way. I asked him if he wanted to quit his job, but surprisingly, he said the job doesn't bother him. He said the work in and of itself was fine. It's just now he feels an added weight to provide because not only was he fortunate enough to keep his job in the pandemic, but we also had a kid on the way. He said that some days he feels like packing a suitcase and running to some tropical island for a week and not telling anyone, but then he feels guilty and doubles down even more. I told him that maybe he should go on a trip. I said that he deserved a break, and maybe if he did exactly that, he'd feel better. He tried to protest, but I insisted. In the end, he said that he'll only go if we go together, like a romantic getaway between spouses. Once things start to clear up, and before the baby is due, he wants to take a week off from work, drop the kids off at grandma's house, and have us go on a vacation, just the two of us, like we used to when we first got married. He also said that he wants to take the day off tomorrow and just sleep in. So that's the plan. I'll call his boss tomorrow and say that he's sick and can't come in. It's not like they'll make a sick man come into work. There's a pandemic going on. Right now, he's playing with the kids and doesn't feel like he's doing one of his chores. He actually seems to be enjoying himself. For the first time in months, I don't see the robot. I see my husband. Edit. Hey everyone, I want to thank you all for the support. I read all of your comments, and I appreciate all of you. I didn't expect this to get so much traction, so I want to clarify some things. First things first, my husband says hi. 1, I wanted to clarify about the chores people are talking about. I want to say that I know as a stay-at-home mother, the bulk of the chores goes to me. I cook and clean and do laundry because I know it's my responsibility. My husband's only chores are doing dishes, vacuuming every 3 days, and a few other house maintenance things. 2, I did in fact call in sick for my husband, but I made sure that I said that he had a migraine. I saw on Google that it wasn't a symptom of COVID if it was an isolated symptom. His boss was okay with it and said that he can come back whenever he feels better. 3, the pregnancy wasn't an accident. We both did want to have 3 kids because we were both raised in 3-kid families. We actively tried for the first two, but for baby number 3, it was kind of a if it happens kind of thing. We're both happy with the amount of kids we have/will have, and are hopefully done. We are not considering abortion nor adoption. 4. We realize that a 1-week vacation isn't enough to get rid of his stress, and are both trying to come up with a solution that alleviates his stress in a more sustainable way. Right now, we're thinking about setting up an hour or 2 a day that's daddy's time. No kids, no me, no work, just for him to relax. And 5, for those of you who think that this is fake, there isn't any way I can change your minds about this situation, so I'm not really too bothered. I just hope this never happens to you guys. You have all been supportive and really a wonderful bunch of people. I really think we can get through this, and it wouldn't have been possible without you guys. I'm not going to reply to comments because, like last time, it's an overwhelming amount, but just know I'm reading these as they come in. Good night, everyone. It's been great. In the comments, Tururiel says, I'm always grateful for these COVID posts. If I'm being honest, it provides a window into the minds and lives of other people and how they struggled with a once-in-a-lifetime, ideally, global pandemic. The Spanish flu was the last such majorly recorded event, almost a century prior to COVID. However, without access to the internet and the trappings of social media, the accounts feel more sanitized and less raw. Spanish flu was similar. There were cities where masks were recommended and widely accepted with fewer losses, and there were cities where they protested against masks and had to pay the price. No one knows how many people had some kind of long flu just like COVID. It's still unclear and not accepted everywhere. Many doctors talk about depression instead of long COVID and treat it wrong. Firm Solution says, 5 years ago. It's one of those posts that I hope gets an update, just so we can be sure everything turned out all right. I was thinking the same. I'm burnt out right now, and I'm pretty sure OP's husband needs more support than a couple of hours each day and a vacation. I hope he got therapy. Exhausting yourself like that comes with a huge cost and takes a long time to recover from. I hope they're doing better now. Me too. I really hope that they're doing better now. Obviously, it's been 5 years, and if there was a follow-up update, I would be reading it. But as it stands, I'd say that this issue is fairly concluded. All we can do is hope that they implemented everything that they said they were going to do, and that they continued to face those demons together. They continued to improve as a couple, they continued to work on him and his mental health, and that they are thriving now, and did not break up as a result of that. I really do wish nothing but the best for the both of them. All we can do is speculate. That was an incredibly difficult time for them to get through, and I'm surprised myself that he immediately opened up to her like he did. My assumption is that most people just avoid and negate and, move goalposts so that they don't have to tackle what is eating away at them in the moment, and that it takes a while for them to come out of their shell. That, for me, seems rare, that he immediately just opened up and told her what was wrong. And I very much appreciate that he did that. There wasn't any huge arguments, there weren't any fights where no one had the correct tools or information to deal with the problem that was facing both of them. And it really does seem like those two were able to get through it, and I hope they're still able to get through it. Thank you for the story, OP. Again, hoping you guys are doing fantastic now. That's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.